Alright, listen up everyone. They've announced that the technical regulations are changing for next season. Now there's a risk a lot of our hard work could be undone if we're not careful, so let's figure out how to mitigate this. Drivers, take a look at the developments we have and let us know what you want to invest in protecting. Alright everyone, let's get on top of this.
Hello, this is Gen83. This is episode 18 of the My Team Lotus career mode, and we're here on the R&D screen because we have new regulations confirmed now for next season, and you can see the powertrain and the durability are the ones that are getting slightly reset, which is absolutely fine for me because, yeah, I've pretty much invested in chassis and aero all year, so that's absolutely perfect, really. So because of that, I'm going to spend all the points that I've saved from Russia and the races before that on upgrading the aero and chassis even more to make the car really good. Which will hopefully help us out for the remainder of the season and next season as well. Because on the performance, we're about 5th or 6th now, so it should be okay to get a lot closer to battling in the midfield regularly on pace alone rather than just good starts. But here we are in Japan, Suzuka, a track that I like very much so, and going to come into practice now. And it's a purple score on the first try on track climatization, and yeah, all the times the practice programs were actually quite straightforward, surprisingly. So yeah, green on the tyre wear test, only just scraping into the region there, but half a second up on a delta, so it's easy 30 points. And as well on the fuel, it was quite hard to save fuel, but just lifting towards the end of the lap, and we've just about scraped that as well for a 30 points too. And yeah, the weather forecast was actually wet for qualifying once again, so I've quite a lot of wet sessions recently, but it's actually full dry for the race, so that should be fairly straightforward, yeah. And yeah, all the other programs apart from quali pace I completed relatively easily, and the race strategy here, a 10th and a half up there and another 50 points. So it's great, straight into the torrential rain for the qualifying session. Q1, it was heavy wet weather, but surprisingly the intermediates were faster according to the game, so I liked to go on them. Which the AI didn't do, which should give me quite an advantage compared to them because, yeah, they're about a second quicker according to the game. So, yeah, you can see just how heavy the rain is, though. I was very surprised when the Inters were quicker at this circuit, and the Inters look very nice for this car, if I do say so myself. And, yeah, through Sector 1, it was just so hard. But we've managed to be almost a second up on my first lap, which my first lap actually put me in 9th, which is pretty good in itself. Obviously, the only aim is to get into Q2 here. And, yeah, we're almost a second up through the final chicane. And over the line, it's actually P2 currently, just half a second off Bottas. And by the end of the session, it was actually P9 with my teammate De Vries in 10th. So we managed to both get through to Q2, I think, for the first time this season. Maybe once or twice we've done it before, but yeah, pretty good pace there in Q1. But unfortunately, by Q2, it had dried up a little bit compared to Q1. So everyone was on Inters, which means my advantage of having the intermediates compared to everyone else has now gone. But we're still 6 seconds up on my first lap, which was, I think, I had a big mistake on, obviously. But it's going to put me in 10th at the minute, but that's actually last of the drivers who've set times. And yeah, I would be surprised if the pace is there when everyone's on the same tyres. But this is my last lap in Q2. You can see the time is about to go, but we're pretty much matching my previous lap in Sector 1 here through the S section. It's just so nice to drive, especially in the dry, not so much in the wet where your back end is dancing all over the place. My teammate De Vries actually just moved up to 12th, but then beaten by Vettel. So Vettel's going to be out in Q2 then. But my aim is to try and be as close to my teammate De Vries as possible. I haven't actually beaten him yet in qualifying, but through Degner's keeping it nice and smooth. 4th gear on the exit, probably could have been in 3rd there for a bit better exit speed, but down to chicane, braking nice and simply, not locking up anything, but the traction is just pretty slow, to be fair. But in lean mix to try and get the traction a bit better, then it's hard to control it in max. Going down towards Spoon, we're 2 tenths up. I don't think it's going to be enough to get into Q3, but it could move us off of 16th place. But through Spoon, try and keep as much speed as possible. The minimum corner speed, try and be as high as we can, and on the exit, try and get a nice clean exit. Yeah, pretty decent there compared to our previous, and we're now half a second up, and it could be an improvement here to try and get ahead of Norris and maybe De Vries as well, who's now down to 14th as everyone keeps improving, although we are 4 tenths off for Gasly in 12th, so not much chance, and a massive, almost got a swapper on through 130R there, but through the Casio triangle, keeping it nice and simple. We lost a bit of time compared to the previous lap, but on the exit, gaining it back, and we're now 7-8 tenths improvement. What's it going to be? Coming up to the line, a little bit of oversteer there where the bump used to be, and over the grass on the exit, I didn't see where it was on the top left because they were too busy crashing, and it's actually only 16th place, which is a bit disappointing. But it was a fairly decent lap, so I can't really complain. And it was so close. We were only 3 tenths off of Q3 there, which I think is probably the closest been all season. But unfortunately, we're 16th, a 10th off Lando Norris, and a 10th off a teammate De Vries. But then De Vries actually had a penalty, so up to 15th, which is nice. Obviously, it was out in Q2, and it's a wet quality, so everyone gets free tyre choice. I decided to go on a softs because that's what the team recommended, and putting a lot of fuel in the car up to about a lap and a half extra. And onto the grid then for the 5 red lights for the Japanese Grand Prix from here in Suzuka. And it's quite a long hold, but we're away at last and try and get a nice launch compared to Vettel and Norris, who seems to be a bit out of position really. But we're going to split the middle of them, and so is Albon out in Q. He's down to 11th as well, with through the middle of Gasly and Vettel there, trying to keep it clean, and we've just about done that. Obviously, it's not a massive braking zone for turn 1, so we can't send it on half the pack like we normally do. But through the S section, just try and keep it nice and clean. We see Stroll, and I think it's Ocon up ahead, really causing a bit of a gap already to his teammate Perez, because they're going side by side through the S section, but it looks like Stroll has had to give up on that one and get dropped behind Ocon. But for me, on the back of Gasly, trying to keep it nice and clean through Dunlop here. Maybe thinking about moving into stagnant 1, putting it to overtake mode, but unfortunately Gasly gets the traction that he needs and is too fast in the straight line to challenge into stagnant 2. Maybe thinking about one at the inside, because everyone's braking very early, and we've seen it plenty of times this season, kind of send one into the hairpin on lap 1. They're all going to be braking very early, and we're going up the inside of Albon and Gasly. Very aggressive movement with side by side with the Thai driver on the exit of the hairpin, and sending it like Kamui Kobayashi back in the day, and it seems to have paid off. We're up the inside of Alex Albon down towards braking zone for Spoon, and we've actually done the move before the braking zone, so that's fairly good. But unfortunately, a lock up on the end of lap 2 now, and DRS is about to be enabled, but Albon and Gasly might even need it, because my exit has been very poor, and you can see the absolute train we've got behind me, including like I think the rest of the field, including the Williams cars right at the back, and Albon and Gasly very, very close. The straight on speed of that Honda doing very well, and they're going to go up the inside of turn 1. I've got to leave a lot of space, but getting over here as well, wheel to wheel contact temporarily. We've just about held it in 11th place, but you can see the gap to Kvyat's already up to 2 seconds, which is a bit unfortunate. And yeah, very difficult to keep up with the guys in the top 10. But you can see I'm going to change the MFD to actually be the tyre temps, and they were through the ceiling already. 107 degrees on both of the front tyres. These soft tyres were really not the one. And yeah, I regret not choosing mediums, to be honest, because the understeer for those tyres is absolutely horrific, and like everywhere it's just really struggling to grip up, especially with lockups like that. That's going to make the tyre temps even worse, and Albon's going to have a chance down the inside in his Red Bull. He's a bit out of position. I don't know why he's going so slowly, to be honest, but side by side now down towards Spoon as we were on lap 1. But this time we're on the outside, and we're just about going to brake nice and late and try and hold him off, run the outside off Spoon, keeping it on the track nicely, and just about holding 11th place. But you can see Kvyat is about 3 seconds clear, so that's like how we got into 11th to begin with. So Mercedes front row lockout. Vettel obviously poorly qualifying, so was Albon, so actually it was a McLaren and a Renault in the 3rd row, which is pretty good for them. But you can see down the inside of Sebastian Vettel, almost hitting the back of Albon, but yeah, very close quarters with Gasly and Norris, but just about keeping it clean, no contact made, and that was up into what was 13th place then. But now lap 4 coming into the start of it, Gasly has DRS this time, it's been enabled now, and he's going to go sailing up the inside in his AlphaTauri and taking that position, but he's going to go have a very narrow line, so we're going to swing on all the way around the outside, keeping it on the track there, and running outside of turn 1 and turn 2, and we keep the position in 11th place, and half lap later, down towards 130R now, Gasly with that straight line speed. I don't know what it was, my engine wasn't that warm really, but the Honda engine really working well at its home circuit in that AlphaTauri. A bit of contact there with Gasly, side by side through 130R, just about keeping it clean, leaving him a slight bit of room on the outside, and we're side by side now through the Castillo triangle, trying to force over those inside curbs, gives me the inside line for the second part of it, and now on the exit try and get it nice and clean and down towards turn 1. Hopefully we had the pace advantage to keep ahead of him, but you can see the amount of cars in an absolute train behind me. There's 5.5 seconds now to the points, so I'm really ruining everyone's races. So Gasly and Albon trying to change that and go down the inside once again. Gasly trying the same move that they did on the previous lap, but once again it hasn't worked for him, which has allowed me to stay ahead. But I really think the pace of this car with the tyre temps that we've got at the minute is really struggling, and you can see over the grass as well, a bit of oversteer there. That's surely going to give Gasly a chance. And Norris now, I don't know where Albon's gone, but he's not here, and Gasly making a lot of contact there on the left hand side. Norris going to make it 3 wide momentarily, but they've both gone past me, unfortunately, and now into turn 1. Norris trying on Gasly as well. Gasly's gone wide, locked up at the front right, and there's a bit of a gap there on the inside, and we're going to be side by side now into the S section. He's got to leave his face on the outside. He's going to swing on all the way around the outside of Pierre Gasly, and that was a lovely move to stay ahead of him in 12th. But unfortunately Norris got ahead and absolutely bolted away. So lap 8, I elected to get off these awful soft tyres. I don't know why the AI were not struggling so badly, but yeah, whatever, maybe it was a setup reason or just my driving style, but yeah, the softs were overheating like no tomorrow, so going to try and bin them off 1 lap earlier than the team recommended onto the hards and go to the end of the race. And you see De Vries is actually on medium, so it might help him out, although he did start last, so maybe not. He's going to struggle to make progress really into such a DRS train, but a 2.3 second pit stop for me onto the hards, and coming out of the pits in very last place, unfortunately, but obviously hopefully getting an undercut on the likes of Gasly and Norris potentially, and Vettel was close behind as well, so he'll be trying to overcut me because he shared the pace in that Ferrari. But a lap later, and they're all in the pits, and Vettel and Gasly quite long behind actually, so the undercut has been pretty successful there, We've got about 1.5 seconds now on Sebastian Vettel, but unfortunately in that Ferrari he's going to be very quick, and yeah, a couple hours later he's caught me very quickly. The undercut didn't work on Lando Norris, who's still up the road, unfortunately, so points look very much off the cards, as Kvyat is the driver currently in net 10th, and he's 13 seconds clear, so yeah, looking unlikely that we're going to be able to get points this race, especially as Vettel's going to relegate me one place further down the inside with that OP Ferrari straight line speed. And taking it very easy there. Taking quite a weird line, but he's managed to make it work. Unfortunately, not alongside at all, so he doesn't have to leave me any space and takes that place very easily. And quite a bit later into the race, I was just losing so much time compared to the drivers I was battling at the start. Norris is 7 seconds clear now, Vettel's 5 seconds clear. So yeah, we've got to focus on what's behind me, and it's Kimi Raikkonen this time. And he's going to absolutely so quickly make progress to the back of my car. He's going to go up the inside off turn 1, going to leave him plenty of room on the inside, but he's actually going to understeer into me and spin off for I think the 4th or 5th time this season. An Alfa Romeo car has done that. Giovinazzi did it a few times back in France and Zandvoort, and now Kimi Raikkonen just hitting the side of my car for no obvious reason and spinning out. So I don't think that was my fault, but yeah, Raikkonen is now out of the picture really, and Gasly's also back in the picture. He's going to send one down the inside of the Casio triangle, and we just about held him off as we did earlier in the race as well. But yeah, it's really a poor pace for the car to this race. Like, it should be good because I like this track a lot, and the aero of the car is very good. And Gasly is going to go down the inside and take that position extremely easily. Straight line speed really wasn't there. Maybe I was running a bit too high wings. I don't really know. But yeah, for whatever reason, the car pace just wasn't here this race, in the race especially. So yeah, points are not possible, anywhere near possible. We're 7 seconds off Vettel, yeah. And by the end of the race, that was literally all that happened, unfortunately. Giovinazzi is now the car behind me. I was just dropping back. Somehow Alex Albon is still behind us. I think he might have done... no, he did. I think he did hard-medium strategy, which is a bit strange. But for whatever reason, he just didn't have the pace either, so he's going to finish 16th. Unless Giovinazzi can overtake me, I'm going to finish 14th. And yeah, 8 seconds off the next car and over 20 seconds to Vettel. And that's not even the points there, so yeah. Very disappointing pace, but I don't think I could have done much about it really. And unfortunately, it's P14. These things happen, and we try and move on as quickly as possible and focus on the rest of this season. We're still battling for 8th in the constructors, but more so next season with the new rules. Try and nail it. But yeah, you can see we were 23 seconds off of 10th place in the end, which is yeah not too good. I'd still beat my teammate De Vries, so he did start last, so he's got a bit of an excuse. Yeah, still 11th in the championship, and constructors we're still in 9th, but we've got a bit of a gap to AlphaTauri, so there's definitely plausible that we finish 8th ahead of AlphaTauri, but beyond that, not really much chance of making much progress. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more. This has been JM83, and I will see you next time.